All right, so I'm going to work through the Unit 3B test review. So yeah, if you need me to rework something, just pause and rewind it. So I'm going to go pretty quick through these. 1, 2, and 3 is just slopes. So that's just rise over run. So for number 1, I just start at my lowest point, count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over, and then my run would be 2 times to the left, which makes this negative 5 over 2. So number 2 is horizontal. You should just know that that is a 0 slope, right, Mr. Slopeface? And then number 3 is undefined. All right, vertical line, undefined. Now for numbers 4 and 5, that's where we have to use the y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So I'm going to work this one out. So number 4, again, it doesn't really matter which y value you choose. I'm just going to choose to do -4, then -1, right? Just make sure I do -3 first now on the bottom. So -4 minus -1 over, and then we do -3 minus -12. Now, remember, when you see minus negative, like we do here, that means we really just change this to -4 plus 1 over -3 plus 12, which is going to equal -3 over 9, which simplifies to -1/3. All right, number 5, I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe this time we switch it up. Maybe we do this y value first, which just means this x value has to be first on the bottom. Okay, so on the top, I do 7, and then I have minus -2, so I'm just going to change that to +2 over, and then we have -11 minus -11, so I'm going to change that to +11. So that equals 9 on the top, and then this actually equals 0 on the bottom. Remember, 0 in the denominator makes this undefined. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to scroll down here to topic 2, which is writing linear equations in standard and slope-intercept form. So just says write a linear equation with a slope of 1, y-intercept of -7. So remember, in your slope-intercept form, m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. So literally it's just saying 1 is my m, all right? So m equals 1. And again, sorry, this doesn't write very well. My b is -7, all right? So that's y equals, technically this would be 1x, so I'm just going to put x. You don't put the 1 in front of it. And it would be plus b. Well, in this case, b is -7, so I'm just going to put -7. That would be your answer. Y equals x minus 7. Now number 7, now they want us to identify the slope and y-intercept of this equation that they gave us, right? Remember, this is y equals mx plus b. So even though there's nothing here, we would imagine this is like a +0, right? There's nothing there. So that means my m is -3, right? Because that's what's in front of x. And my b is simply just 0. Okay. Now on number 8, I have to do this one a little different. It's in standard form, so I need to change it to slope-intercept form so that way I can find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay. So that means first thing I'm going to do is subtract 2x from both sides. Okay. So then those cancel out. So now I just have 5y equals -2x plus 20. Okay, and now my next step would be I just want to get rid of this this 5. So I'm going to divide by 5 on every single term. Okay, that cancels out. So now this ends up giving me y equals negative 2/5 x, and then 20 divided by 5 is 4, so plus 4. Okay, so now that it's in that form, now I can tell what my slope and my y-intercept are. So my slope is that negative 2/5. I know there's not a lot of space here. I'm just kind of making do with what I can. And then our b, our y-intercept, is just 4. Okay, so this is our answer right here. Okay. All right, number 9. Oops, here we go. So number 9, same deal, right? We just need to get this to y by itself. So I would subtract x from both sides. So then that would give me negative 2y equals, now I have negative x plus 2. Okay, and then again, my next step is to get rid of the number in front of y, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. So negative 2, negative 2. And again, make sure you're careful that you do negative 2, not just 2, right? I want to cancel out the negative as well. So this is y equals. Now, these negatives cancel out. And remember, there's an imaginary 1 in front of x, so this is technically 1/2 x. And then 2 divided by 2 is just 1, so it's a positive and a negative, making it negative 1. So that's your equation. So then when they want to know my slope and my y-intercept, my slope equals this half right here, so it's half. And then my y-intercept is negative 1. Okay. Now, on 10 and 11, right, all we're doing is just, you look for two things, right? You're looking for your slope and your y-intercept, right? Doesn't really matter which one you look for first. I'm just going to do slope first, and that's just rise over run. So I start at this bottom point. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my slope is 7 over, and I go to the right, 1, 2, 7 over 2. So that's my slope. Okay, and then my y-intercept is just where it crosses the y-axis, which is this point right here. Okay, which is, if I count down, 1, 2, 3, so that's at negative 3. Okay, so then when I put that as an equation, it's literally going to just be y equals 7 over 2x minus 3. And that would be your answer. On 11, I would do the same thing, right? So I'm going to start writing my equation, y equals. So I need to know my slope, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I get 4 over 4, which I hope we know that 4 over 4 would be 1. But remember, we went to the left 4, so that makes this negative 4. So it's 4 over negative 4, which makes this negative 1, right? So when we write that, though, don't put negative 1x, just put negative, there we go, negative x. Okay, and then the other thing that we have to find is that y-intercept, which is where it crosses this y-axis right here, which would be at that point right there. So we count up 1, 2, 3. So it's plus 3. And that would be your equation. Okay. All right, I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to move down on my screen here to numbers 12 through 15. All right, so now on 12, it just says to identify the equation of the line graph below, prove it by converting, right? So you're going to have to kind of do this one in 2 steps. First, figure out the equation like we just did on the previous questions, but then you have to change it to standard form. So first I'm going to find my slope. So I'll pick a point here and a point here. Okay, so I would count up 1, 2 over, I go left 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2 over negative 4, which we should just know is negative half, right? So that's our slope. So our slope right now is negative 1/2. And then B would be this point right here, right, where it crosses that y-axis, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So my B is 4. But remember, none of those answers, oh, sorry, that looks like it says B is Y. None of these answers are in y-intercept form. So I need to change it to standard form by moving that from one side to the other. So I'm going to go on here and then look at each one of these. So this would be y equals, right, half x, or sorry, negative half x plus 4. Okay, so I got to figure out which one of these answers would end up equaling that. Well, on this first one up here, all right, A, if I do 2 over 1, change the sign, that's going to be negative 2x plus 4. So that's not it. Why does it keep looking like y? So not that one. Okay, then here, same thing. We've got 2 over negative 1, which makes this actually end up equaling positive 2. All right, so 2x plus 4. Again, not what I'm looking for. Nope. Here we have 1 in front of x, so 1 over 2. Change the sign so it's negative 1 over 2. Get negative 1 over 2 x. And then here we do 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So this would be plus 4. And that's the one we're looking for right there. Okay, again, you could have done all the converting, right? If we did that, let's say I converted it just that way you can see how you would have worked that one out on the one that is correct. So you'd end up moving x from one side to the other, right? I would subtract x. So I do minus x. Oops, I don't know what just happened. Well, that was weird. Okay, so we would do minus x on both sides.
Okay, I found this on the web for what do minus x.
Sorry. Siri's talking. I'm gonna zoom back out here. I don't know why that zoomed way in. Anyways, so we would do that. And then we would have 2y. Sorry, I'm trying to make this work on here because it kind of moved my whole screen. 2y. I can't even do this on the screen. Let me just see if I can move this back over. I don't know what happened here. Reset zoom. There we go. Much better. We're going to zoom this back in though. Alright, so if we subtracted that x from both sides, right, now we would have 2y equals negative x, whoops, why did I do that? Negative x plus 8. Okay, and then we would just divide everything by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2, and divide by 2. So that's where we end up with this answer, right? Because we would end up with y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. And again, I don't know why this keeps coming out as y. It's kind of annoying. Plus 4. There we go. Okay. Same thing on number 13, right? You just identify the equation for this graph. So let's say I pick this point here, this point up here. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3. So 5/3. So I want a slope of 5/3, and it crosses the y-axis right here at -1. Right, so I would have to do each of these answers, which I can tell you that slope of 5/3 would be here, and then dividing by this would be this one. Okay, because I would end up with 5 divided by -3, right, which is -5/3, but then I would change the sign to positive 5/3. So that's my slope, right? That would be y equals 5/3 x, and then 3 divided by negative